Everyone to this review video of match day 32 Bundesliga, German Bundesliga 1 on Monday 6th of May, as my high-tech calendar tells you. What we got, I'm doing it on Monday because it was a bit much, maybe the review and preview in one video, but for me it's also quite a bit of work, but I'm gonna do it. It had been a very exciting match day too, and here we see the same thing actually, but here can refer to, well, okay, we can have a look here at what, also comparing it with the preview when I said what I think about the games and how they went. And here we can have, as usual, the look at how well did the teams play. Well, this is the better one. And who overperformed or underperformed. There were some wild things going on. Minus 1.92 is quite massive. And look at the result, which was miles away from that, what it should have been. And okay, maybe, yeah, I'm gonna go through it quickly, although, yeah, well, we will see what happens. I mean, you already know how long it's gonna be. I don't know yet, and how much I'm gonna go into details here and there. It was very strange match day. I mean, many goals, okay, we got 33 goals here, but actually the chances I was expecting 29.54, and the chances were there for 29.26. So here I should say this was very regular, the game, the way they played. And still you could argue about those, well, 3.5 extra goals. This can still happen. In any case, I mean, it just happens. But you could also argue the size of the chances gets bigger towards the end of the season, because some of them, they just do not defend so cruelly. So yeah, that's I was also pointing that out. And so maybe, and when you go forward, you simply say, I'm gonna try to score a goal, as Mainz did, for example. Then they actually did not concede these many shots, but when they open up their own half also, and Timo Werner comes in, and Paulsen, and so on, it's the size of chances is bigger. So maybe those 3 goals, they are not just a random deviation. I mean, you can still argue it happens, and it happened in other match days too. So also match days 16 or so, when it was cold outside, winter or late autumn or something like that, and you think, well, they all, well, okay, in winter maybe they are not so keen on running so much or going forward or something like that, which is not the case really. But still, you could have those stats and such a result. And then you would say, well, it just happens. But it also happens that a team is just trailing, as Mainz had been early on. So from then on, well, at any point of the season, you might start to go forward, especially if you think, well, they are so good, they are maybe better than us. So maybe there's no silent, no slow approach to turning this game around. So just all in at any point. Still, I would argue a bit in favor of this, but you see 33 goals is not, well, it's not incredibly far away. It is a bit more, and it is what you would suspect or expect in some sense towards the end of the season. Here I would still say the stats more or less confirm they played the way, and as I just said, maybe here or there an extra chance. Still yet those somehow wild games or weird games, and you could also argue about this one. I mean, this was the last one, so if this would have been regular, and here you see that actually there were not many chances, there were just few chances. I mean, you would accept that for Frankfurt, but you would say, well, when you score 6 goals in one half, then you would say, well, chance over chance over chance. What happened here was Leverkusen, they just well, it was incredible in the way they went forward, but it was still a freak result somehow. This was also what Julian Brandt said in the interview afterwards. He said, "Well, we virtually put all of our chances away, but they created them in style. I mean, they just." I mean, this was pass, and goal and ideas and going through, and I don't know. This was just incredibly well done and well played. So I would say, well, this figure is a bit misleading. I think they had just 11 shots. We can look that up here somewhere. Or, yeah, 11 on target, 17 4 shots. So you see, it's not massively far away. And corners, that was all Frankfurt, right? That's what the commentator even said. They had just a single corner. So how can you explain that, right? So it was not such an extreme assault or something like that. They just started the scoring and they wouldn't stop. In the second half, it was still a very regular game of football. If they wouldn't have known the scoreline and you would have watched the second half, and you think, well, it's a very regular. What's the scoreline? 1-1 or 0-0? Or what is it like? They just played very regular football. It was not even that Leverkusen took a foot off the gas or Frankfurt. I mean, Frankfurt, they tried to score. They just, it wasn't that easy come to goal. Or, I mean, they tried, and they tried with, well, it was 6-1 half time and 6-1 final result, which is also maybe very rare exception, right? It's, I mean, you would expect some more goals, but they weren't to come, and there were no chances. Well, Leverkusen did have 2 or 3 maybe good chances on the break, but also Frankfurt did not really create those good chances, but maybe a shot here or there. Anyway, 4 corners. I mean, 1 for Leverkusen only. So, well, it's just, well, I mean, if you say Frankfurt was so tired, that's why they couldn't defend or something like that, it's just not the truth. Although the result would tell you different. Anyway, so we go through the games and then we look at the results, what it meant to us. You see that here already. And I didn't want the draws to happen. And, well, this was a very, very, very incredibly good game by Mainz. And this is what I argued. And when I said, okay, I mean, Leipzig were there already, title chances, that was just faint. It was just a silly idea to win the title. So they both played a regular game of football. They played the way they always did, but Mainz were just a little bit better than expected, which is, well, 0.62 goals is quite massive. So they were really good, and they were 1-3 down at one point, and they still pulled these 2 goals back, and both tried towards the end. But you have to say Mainz were altogether a bit closer to winning it. Although you see, when you see those strikers that I just mentioned, they have 14 goals each or 16, 14. I don't know. I'm not looking at the what is it? Torschützenliste, we should say in German. I don't even care for that. I know that, of course, I know that there are a couple of strikers up there, Lewandowski, or this Rebic or Jovic, and so on. Jovic should be better, and also Timo Werner, and also Yusuf Poulsen, but somewhere 16 or something like that, which is quite a lot after 32 games these days. Anyway, we had lots of goals. But so you also think, and I was favoring Mainz, of course, or I was hoping for Mainz. So I was actually, yeah, I wanted them to do well, and they did in the end, which was well deserved. And still, you feel when Leipzig go forward, well, it feels a bit more like a goal, which is also reflected in the conversion rate, which you would find somewhere. Well, I could show you here somewhere, which is also in different converted. No, sorry. Here is the conversion rate, but it should be here somewhere in this. Here it should be. So I have. Oh no, there was even a small edge to Mainz. Maybe, yeah, maybe at home. Well, something like that. But you see in the other games when you have, well, yeah, it's just a difference in conversion rate sometimes. they take their chances better, which is not quite the case here. Depending on former results in the respective soil, home soil or away from home. Okay, anyway, Mainz were doing well. They got the result. They pulled 2 goals back. Here it's completely different. Also, Gladbach won these goals back. It hurt me a bit here. And but of course, just the Gladbach win would have been good. Away win, well, neutral. I was Gladbach over draw. They drew. They pulled these 2 goals back, but they did not deserve it at all. This was 2 goals in favor of Hoffenheim, and they should have won by 2 goals, which is massive, right? It was just chance after chance after chance for Hoffenheim. So they should have won the game with ease. So one of those freak results, I'm a bit surprised. Here in Hertha, Stuttgart, we could argue that Hertha were the slightly better side, which was not what it felt like when watching the games, or also, well, seeing the stats and so on. Was, well, I mean, this was one of those games when I thought, of course, the result would justify in any case that Hertha were trying, as I predicted, and also this, well, should goals also would underline that. But I had the impression that Stuttgart were just trying a bit harder, and they also came closer than expected, and so on. So here I would say, well, it felt a bit more like even. Of course, at some point Hertha took the lead, but there was this handball. Did you see that? I mean, and then they argue. I mean, no one argues really. They all say, well, they say afterwards they thought it was the goalkeeper or something like that. It was just the defender doing like that, ball hitting here, ball was going towards the goal even, so it could have been a goal, and he didn't reward a penalty or award a penalty. So this is maybe what makes it feel as if Stuttgart were hard done by, right? This one, because on the break, Hertha scored the 1-0, so they should have conceded, and instead they scored the goal. So we can sum it up like that. Hertha, well, they shouldn't have had this lead, and if they were down a goal, never would have been that, well, such an apparent easy win, which was not the case. Bayern were so much better, even more than expected, and this was just completely one-sided and should have been a better win. So if you compare, if you see a 3-1 here, a 3-1 there, or a draw here and a draw there, you think, okay, they were all tight matches or something like that. Not at all the case. Completely different stories here, right? Here the home side were much better than expected, and also better than the opposition. Was a draw. Here the away side was so incredibly much better, and here, so it was all just freak results somehow, right? And here Hertha were, well, if any, they were just slightly, but add this 1 goal to Stuttgart, or this penalty or something like that, and you see it's already very even. Because this handball didn't count at all into any stats, but it should have counted. And here, look at this 3-1, which was just a joke, right? You see that, well, in the highlights they said, well, we can't show all those chances. It were 27 shots in the end, and when Bayern shoot, it usually does have a higher probability to go in. So it was more than expected, and so on. So it should have been rather 5-0, and this should have been maybe 1-1 or something like that. That's much more like it, right? So very freaky results. Here also the away side were just better, and this is 1 goal better, which also says, I mean, here we have the same character of the games. When the market said, well, the away sides are the ones in need, whereby Wolfsburg also were in need, but here they said Nuremberg did draw with Bayern, and now they are boosting their confidence, and they're going to try and they fight against relegation or something like that, which in fact they have done. And Wolfsburg didn't have such an easy game at all. And so they were 1 goal worse, but still the results suggesting somehow, well deserved and easy win, which was not the case. But somehow it's really strange, this whole match day. And also on this one, whereby you could say, well, this very well fits together here, and they both went forward a bit more. but still it was a strange kind of game, which is not strange. Does not mean. I mean, it is what makes football exciting somehow, and still makes it exciting, and no one can complain, of course, about lack of excitement or tension or something like that in the competition, and also not in the single games, but which I would do in general. But here you could still say, I mean, Dortmund was so much better in the first half, and they were 2 goals up at some point, and maybe they could even have scored a third. Well, of course they could have, but maybe they should have, or maybe, yeah, they were a lot closer than Werder to come back. But then were those last 25 minutes when really Werder went all in. I mean, this was what also the commentators, Lothar Matthäus, was there co-commenting. And then he said it's about time to go all in, and then that's what he did, right? Kofeld, he brought on 2 more strikers, more or less Pizarro and maybe, well, I don't know, Barkfreda or something like that, but at least an offensive player. And then they went all in, and this worked out, and Pizarro scored this goal, and the other one, well, yeah, from then on, it was a different game. Still, Dortmund should have won, but it was, of course, exciting the way it was, and it was also close to expectancies and many chances, and somehow, of course, well-deserved draw for Werder because they created so much. Still, the game could have been long far away from out of reach. That's what I was trying to say. With a third for Dortmund. Still, of course, very good game, very exciting, and so on. So, and here we had this draw, which was at that point, I mean, when you look at those expectancies, I was not fully justifying these. Still, it was okay in the way that Augsburg played, and both more or less played. Schalke were closer. Market still wasn't right with an 0.75 goal line and so on. So, but at that point, Schalke were happy with the draw because it was enough to preserve their league status, and now they beat Dortmund, which made them happy all over, and now a draw, and they are safe, and that's all so we can go by this one rather quickly. They were happy with what they had. They still could have won it later on. Here I was expecting this over many goals, and there were chances, but not so many, which was due to sending off against Freiburg at some point in the first half already. And from then on, it was a different game. It was a very good game before that sending off. But after that, well, I do not like to watch these games when a player is sent off, so I didn't really watch anymore because it's not, it doesn't mean a lot to me. So whatever happens, usually the side with the player up 11 men against 10, they are the ones getting the stats on their side. The others try to defend, they try to hold on, which they manage. And but even if I wouldn't take any conclusions out of that, right? Draw any conclusions because well, it was 11 against 10, so forget about it. So that's why I do not like it. It's not, well, if they were applying the rules and well punish all these bad tackles and so on and send players off, I wouldn't say that we would have 5 red cards and it would be more exciting. I would say that players would know what they are red carded or yellow carded for, and what they are allowed to do and what they are not allowed to do. And then we would say some more good football if they were applying the rules. Anyway, here I was actually by stats I was even right, but I can't say that in the end. I was talking about this a long time already, so now we can look at the results, which may not be good because all those, and we had all those draws, which in fact, well, I'm just gonna check, right? What happens? I don't know yet. I'm not, so I'm losing a bit. Okay. Here it was fine. The draw was a bit painful. It was the best result, but I did not fully deserve it. I was talking about Bayern, which was fine. Wolfsburg was not really deserved. This one as well. In Werder Dortmund, what I needed, of course, a Werder win, and they were close in the end, but altogether they were not well. In this one, okay, you could argue about this draw. I don't. It's just meaningless. And in this one, yeah, this is just painful because Düsseldorf just were the better side. They were closer. Also, with 11 men, I liked their play and they had the chances, and I liked it. Yeah, I liked them. So I was happy with that one, but I lost it. And in Leverkusen, I can hardly argue, which was what makes the minus here. So, well, in the end, I would say pretty exciting. I was pretty okay with the betting part of it. So I think my predictions were not that terrible, but still it's hard to argue about this special match day because it was so special. All the games. I mean, I am arguing. I'm talking about it, but I can't say I was right, or I can't say um, I was that badly wrong or something like that. It's just was just weird games, which you could still say, well, it happens more often towards the end of the season, which is also true. I accept that. But here, yeah, I'm lost for words. I can't say any more about that. I hope you still enjoyed it, and it was a bit shorter, maybe as I promised. So now I know. In case I finish now, share, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.